sports bras and beer. I'm Allie BR, I'll be your host, and today we're talking to AnneMarie Kelbon of the rock band Vera Bloom. We're going to talk about rock and roll, and we're going to talk about motorcycles. Let's crack some beers. First question is, what are you drinking?
Might I start with Happy National Beer Day?
Yes, you too. I'm so excited that we're doing this on Beer Day. That's perfect.
I am representing my Seattle folk, and I am drinking Elysian Space Dust IPA.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of my faves from them.
Right on. What's your normal, go-to beer? Are you a PBR gal like myself, or do you have, a brand?
Yeah, I usually do stick with PBR for budget reasons. I'm not, a loyal PBR drinker, though. I'll gladly have, a Coors Light, Miller's Light, not very picky. I don't know. When we could go places, I actually really love going to breweries and supporting their businesses.
Oh, me too. I miss breweries so much.
Yeah, my favorites are, New Heights is pretty cool. They have some really great beers. And Bearded Iris, I only went there once.
Oh, I love Bearded Iris. I think Homestyle is the best IPA to ever exist.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's so good.
I think you're absolutely right. And yeah, I like Jackalope. Their new spot's pretty cool.
Have you tried the Jackalope Lovebird? That's one of my favorite Nashville beers. They only release it in the spring. It's a limited time thing. So they just released it a few weeks ago. It's like a fruity Hefeweizen, brewed with raspberries and strawberries. It's delicious. If you see it somewhere, give it a shot. If you like Hefeweizens. I don't know if you're into that, but
Hefeweizen's usually not my go-to. I don't know. I like IPAs, but I'm not always in the mood for them. So sometimes I'll go for a straight up lager.
Oh, for sure.
Actually, the best beer that I've had in a really long time was at Smith & Lens before they got messed up from the tornado. It's their German Pilsner. It is the straight up German Pilsner. It is probably the best beer I've had in a really long time.
Right on. That sounds good.
Shout out to Smith & Lens.
Yeah. So what kind of bra are you wearing?
Oh.
It's okay if you're not wearing a bra too, because that's okay. That's acceptable.
I am wearing a bra. It's just a little bralette. I'm wearing a bra that is as little of a bra as I could possibly make it. You know what I mean?
Right on. Yeah, I get that.
I'm not completely out in the wind, but some containment, but doesn't feel like I'm being oppressed in any way.
What do you normally wear on stage as far as bras go? Do you have a stage bra? Because I do, but I also just wear a bra on stage, so It's a little different.
It kind of depends. I actually usually only wear one bra. That might sound kind of nasty.
That's not nasty at all, honestly. I feel like so many people have very few bras.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that we have very few bras, but I don't have very many.
I think it's if you have a favorite pair of pants, that fit perfectly, you're never uncomfortable in them. It's the same thing with a bra. I only pretty much have one, other than this one I'm wearing and when I work out or whatever, sports bra, I only have one normal bra that I feel comfortable in.
They really don't get that gross, honestly. No. If you wash them on, it's not like underwear.
Yeah, it's way different.
So it's okay.
It's like a shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about your musical background a little bit. I know you're from a suburb of Seattle, Washington. Is that right? Or are you from the Seattle area?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a suburb of Seattle. Seattle is definitely the closest city. It's a ferry boat ride away, which sounds strange, but it's 45 minutes from Seattle.
Oh, okay.
But you have to take a ferry.
Cool. So what was it like growing up there? Is that kind of where you got into music? Is just from where you were from, or were your family musicians? Where'd you get it from?
Growing up there was awesome. And music was always a thing for me, I guess because my dad is a hobbyist guitar player and songwriter. And he kind of introduced all of that to me. And then I had to learn piano growing up, and I was in band and whatnot. But I didn't really know how cool the music scene in Seattle really was until after I left for college.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I had no idea. I knew Nirvana was from there, Jimi Hendrix, Pearl Jam, the greats from Seattle, but I didn't really know how cool that area was for music, and still is. Not even just Seattle, like Olympia, Washington, like that's where Bikini Kill is from, you know. And now I'm like, oh yeah, cool, like I am from there too. But I guess I was like removed, or it wasn't my scene that I was in, like high school and whatnot. Like I didn't really know about all that cool shit.
You went to Berkeley, is that right?
Yeah, I did. So I met a lot of cool people from living there, and Boston's great. Like going to Berkeley kind of exposed me to like city living, and I mean just obviously the music program, but I'm not gonna say it wasn't for me. Like I learned a lot of stuff at Berkeley, but I like swore off music after graduating.
Oh wow. There was like a time period where you just weren't doing music for a while?
Yeah, almost like a 4-year hiatus. I mean, I dabbled in it here and there. Like when I moved back to Washington, I tried to start doing music again, but I don't know, I just kind of like didn't feel right because I was co-writing with my ex that I was living with, and I just didn't find it yet. And it's like it's taken me so long to finally like find what I feel is like my genuine music, you know, like my thing. And and that's like what this new thing I'm doing is about.
Yeah, that's awesome though. So I want to talk about like your influences a little bit. I feel like what you're doing now, like your Vera Bloom thing, I think you and I have a lot of similar influences. But from what you used to do, I think you had much different influences, like from your older stuff. So if you could just go into that a little bit.
Growing up, I was very like classic rock and folk singer-songwritery inspired. And I think those are still like my core, well, I guess I could say influences, because I think what we don't even think about, but what we've just absorbed over the years is, I guess, an influence. Whereas like
totally
inspiration is like more on the surface level, maybe, where it's like you get immediately inspired by something that you see or you hear or something that happens to you. So I think for me, like my core influences are very classic rock and like folk singer-songwriter stuff, like James Taylor. I grew up listening to a ton of him because my parents were really into it. And like Carole King and like Tom Petty, Neil Young, and then like Eric Clapton and Pink Floyd and like Led Zeppelin and all of the, like the staple classic rock guys. And it wasn't until like past couple years that I really decided for my own what I wanted to listen to. You know, because you just think like you want to listen to all this stuff, but really it's just like what people put on for you, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, you dig it and whatever, and then you get to start like going down your own rabbit holes and like what really lights the fire under your ass, right. You know. And yeah, so lately like this Vera Bloom thing has just been kind of like a mixture of all of that. It's
yeah,
like,
absolutely,
like finding out and staying true to what really like inspires me, but also just naturally like letting the old influences and like even like my 90s music, like Third Eye Blind and Matchbox 20, and you know, like even those influences like are coming out. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. It's weird what you can be affected by and not even like realize it. You just subconsciously create things that you hear and don't even remember it.
Yeah, for sure.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I want to talk about Sister Antics a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
that
sure.
was you and another girl originally. Is that it was like a duo when you first started?
Yeah.
I listened to some of your guys' stuff on YouTube, and I realized that it was like very different from what you do now, because you're like, you know, you're like a rock singer.
Yeah.
And that like the stuff you showed me for the Valentine's Day Massacre was like these two really cool rock songs.
Yeah.
And I looked you guys up the other day and I was like, oh, wow, that is like completely different.
Yeah.
But you guys were featured on a TV show, is that right? The Ride?
Yeah, Ride with Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
That was an awesome experience. We got recommended by the owner of this like women's riding network thing called the Litas. She knew that we were down here in Nashville and we rode motorcycles and did music. So they were looking for some female riders for the show.
She rode motorcycles too?
Yeah, that's actually
cool.
Yeah, that's actually how we met. Like, it was a pretty cool story. We met riding motorcycles, and I was already sort of trying to do like accompanying myself. It was more like singer-songwriter stuff because I hadn't even like tried to become an electric lead guitar player yet because I was just doing it by myself. So we met on a motorcycle ride through this, like finding each other through this Lolitas thing, which is all like women riders.
Oh, cool.
I was like, oh, cool, you should we should jam sometime. And then it just kind of turned into her like accompanying me and harmonizing with me on my struggle. But we'd had some really great experiences because of motorcycles. And yeah, we went on that TV show and rode out to Memphis and then brought Norman Reedus to Nashville, essentially.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
That's neat. It was really cool.
So I noticed for the Sister Antics pictures, if you Google you guys, one of the pictures is you wearing like a nun get-up. Is that like a one-time thing, like one show?
That was for one show. That was at Exit Inn, and it was like their Christmas show. But I was also at that time trying to make Sister Antics work, even though her name's Vivian, even though she left.
Okay, so that was just you at that time. That was just me.
And that was actually with my new Vera Bloom music, but I like hadn't let go of the idea of Sister Antics yet because I was just trying to make it my project.
Yeah.
You know, and just keep that thing going because like I had that exposure. I just was having such a hard time connecting to the name, and like a lot of people reached out to me and they're like, "Why are you still using Sister Antics?" And I was like, "Fine." I was still trying to like figure it out. That's why I was experimenting with that like nun, what do they call them? Habit.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm a sister. Like, but ultimately, like, I didn't like the way it looked. Some other people didn't like the way it looked. Just like silly. So I was just like, we're scrapping the whole thing, starting fresh.
Right. It was unique though. I like that you tried to just do something totally out of the blue.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I've never seen anyone do that before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like in a heavy metal band or something, you know?
Yeah, you got to try stuff out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. You got to go for it. So, like, your music, like I said earlier, I think is like completely different now. Have you always been into like rock stuff? Yeah. Is that always what you kind of gravitated towards as far as writing and performing?
I think the writing rock is a little new for me, but I've always been really into like listening to it. Maybe not so much punk, like that over the past couple years has been kind of new. Like I've always listened to Joan Jett. I love Joan Jett. But like
same girl.
And she's just so I have two Bible people in my mind. Like Tom Petty is my songwriting Bible because he, like me, I hardly ever write bridges, and he hardly ever like writes bridges and keeps it simple, and he's like really you know, so it's like, what would Tom Petty do? And that's what I do with writing. And then as far as like my music career goes, I'm like, what would Joan Jett do?
Oh, girl, anyone that like knows me even a little bit knows that I'm like freakishly obsessed with Joan Jett. Like I have a black heart tattoo on my back. I'm like in it for life.
I love that.
Dude. I'm like in the Joan squad.
I'll join you.
Oh yes, join me on the dark side. But I can definitely see that you're like influenced by like, female artists and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Like we talked the other day about Bikini Kill and stuff. And I can see that we sort of connected on that
I'm learning more and more about them. You know, it's not intentional, but the music industry, I mean, it's not intentional as a listener, but like the music industry is such a boys club, you know? And naturally, if you're not really paying attention to what you're listening to, you just kind of like, oh yeah, I just listen to music. But then you start thinking about it and it's mostly just like male dominated music. I was never really like an avid music listener for some reason. But I've been growing as a listener these past couple of years, and I'm loving all of the, like, Riot Girl stuff. That's new to me, and I can't believe that's new to me. Like, I wish I had known about that movement when I was growing up as a kid.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy how many people don't know what that is. Like, even people that were teenagers in the 90s and stuff are like, what is Riot Girl? Like, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm, like, sitting here, like, all excited about it. And they're like, never heard of that. All right.
Yeah. Those are inspiring the hell out of me, those girls. Some of the playlists I've listened to with their music, I can't remember some of their names, but it's, like, so lo-fi, the quality, too.
I'm an audio engineer, and there's a term for that. It's called slapdash. It's where you just go into the studio, record, and you don't really do anything to the recording. You just kind of like all as a band record all at once, and then just you're good. Put the faders up a little bit. You don't really put any effects on it. A lot of Riot Girl is very slapdash.
When I recorded the stuff for Vera Bloom, it was hardly overdubbed at all. That's one thing I would like to do is just go in, hit record, do it. But we usually, for the sake of like clarity, like do my vocals after. But the rest of us are just, like going in there and playing live.
Hell yeah. So you have a bunch of new stuff recorded. When do you plan on releasing that? Anytime soon?
I want to in like June or July, but I kind of have a feeling things are going to get pushed back a little bit. Like I still have to do the visual side of everything, and we can't like be in contact with other humans. So I'm just I'm hoping in July.
Okay, completely different subject. I want to talk about the motorcycle thing. So you got your love of motorcycles from your mom, is that correct?
Yes, you did do your homework. Well, she kind of opened the door to like, okay, this is actually like something I could do if I wanted to. I mean, as like street riding. My parents gave us dirt bikes when we were kids, so we were always just kind of like, putting around and riding around with neighborhood friends and whatever. So like being on two wheels was never something that we were strangers to, but like going on the road is a whole nother thing. And a lot of parents would be like, oh no, don't do it. It's dangerous. But my mom, you know, and my dad, they're both just like, can I come with? You know, kind of like.
That's so cool. There are not a lot of parents that are like that. That's awesome.
It's all about trust. I don't have a need for speed so much, you know, like I'm not a crazy reckless driver. I'm a bicyclist also. Like I bicycled in like every city I've lived in. So I'm just like hyper aware of basically being invisible. Oh, yeah, good. That just kind of translates to being on a motorcycle too. You just have to pretend like nobody can see you at all times.
So what kind of motorcycle do you have?
I have a 2009 Sportster Custom. It's like a 1200cc bike. It's not my favorite. I miss my old bike, but it was starting to have problems, and it was from 2001, and so it wasn't fuel injected, so you had to always like use the choke, warming up, and it was starting to have problems, and I just didn't feel like, I don't know. I do miss it though, because it looked really, really pretty and awesome.
So do you like ride your bike to like go to the grocery store and stuff too, or do you have a car also?
I wish that I only had a motorcycle, but no, I have a car for like lugging gear around and whatnot.
Right. It would look kind of sick though with your guitar on your back on your motorcycle. That's like the ultimate badass.
I've tried it. It's actually not very much fun.
It looked cool for a picture though. So what's your like dream motorcycle?
Ooh, I have a couple. Well, I don't have like specific models, just kind of like types. I guess I have a list of like what I would want to ride versus what I would want to own. I like rode once this Moto Guzzi that was from like the 40s, and the shifter and the brake were on the opposite sides that they usually are. And it was like, in order to shift, you had like first gear was with your heel down. And then, I don't know, it was like the most messed up weird way. It was actually really cool. And it was more like, it was more involved, like riding this motorcycle. It was more rewarding in a way because it was such a puzzle.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I just want to own like every style of motorcycle that there is. So like one cruiser, one cafe racer, one dirt bike, one like sport touring bike. I don't know. I just want like every little thing. Although realistically, I'd probably just like have a favorite and ride that one. That's it.
If you could start the ultimate rock band, who would be your dream band member? Like anybody.
I think my answer might actually surprise you.
Really?
Maybe. Well, I think it would be David Gilmour.
Ah, that did surprise me.
For performance, I just like, there's no other guitarist out there that like speaks to me the same way David Gilmour does.
Right on.
I don't know what it is about Pink Floyd that it just like hits the spot most of the time. And I just like the stuff that they would come up with is just so versatile. But his melodies on when he plays guitar, it's like he might as well, you know, be singing. It's just kind of like, it doesn't have anything to do with technique, doesn't have anything to do, it's like only about the music and like, I don't know what the right word is, but like he's just so melodic. It's so beautiful.
So how has quarantine been like treating you as far as being an artist? Do you feel like this is giving you more time to like write and record and stuff, or do you feel just angry because you can't play shows?
Well, I've been waiting for it to like spark me into a creative frenzy, but really, I like picked up the guitar the other day and started writing a song, and the lyrics were like, I'm a loner.
But that's what you're feeling though. That makes sense, you know? It's hard not to express that in times like.
Yeah, all I can think about and all I feel like I want to do is play music with people. That's it. And I think it's mostly because I can't, you know?
Right.
I could be practicing more for it. Like I'm the guitarist in this newly formed Alanis Morissette cover band.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that the other day. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like all female thing. We had one practice, which was so much fun, and then like coronavirus. So I have a lot of things to look forward to, like with releasing my music, going on some tour for that, which I still have to set up, but like, and then this Alanis Morissette cover thing, which I'm just a guitar player, which I'm really geeking out about because I like singing, but as instrument wise, I like playing electric guitar better or more.
Okay, you know? Like as opposed to not doing both, just like one or the other, you'd rather just play?
Well, for my music, I really like singing and playing music. I mean, playing guitar, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But like for playing other people's music, I would only want to play guitar pretty much. And
cool.
Yeah, I've like come to realize that because that's another thing with Sister Antics is we kind of got like somehow sucked into like doing cover gigs. Oh. And I was like, this is just sucking the dream out of my dream, you know, like Sister Antics is now like a cover band. Are you kidding me?
Well, in Nashville, it's hard because like you kind of get sucked into covers all of a sudden. Like if you're in certain places, like all of a sudden you're doing covers, and you're like, what the fuck? Like
if you don't
it's hard to stay away from that. Like
I know. I'm only gonna play my original music, maybe one cover that I love, you know, to like
right. Yeah. But, just to get people's attention, really. That's what we do it for.
Yeah, so thought that I was like, no covers ever, but then I couldn't resist the all-female Alanis Morissette cover band idea.
That's super cool, though. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just going to be the guitar player, so it'll like just help me with my guitar chops, essentially.
So, yeah, so it sounds like quarantine maybe will be helpful, except for not being able to play shows. That is kind of that's one thing I was talking to my friend Becca about. Is she thinks this is kind of going to affect the music business negatively because most people like are not listening to Spotify and stuff right now. Everyone's watching Netflix, and she's right. Like everyone's watching fucking Tiger King and all that stupid shit. And it's like kind of not great for the music business because bands that make their living on touring are just sitting at home right now, which is really unfortunate for people.
I'm hoping there will be like a spike in live show attendances, you know, once we can all like be in a room together again. And then hopefully that'll like be like, oh yeah, seeing live music is fucking awesome. Let's do this more often, you know? Right. And then it kind of like for a while at least like gets people out of the house and like to people's shows and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like people are going to be way more likely to go to a Springwater show on a Wednesday at 9:30 because they're going to be so happy that they can. Like they can leave the house. Like I think the same thing. I think it's going to be good for us when it's over. Just right now, it's not great for musicians.
Yeah. I'm just trying to focus on like what I can do now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then have hope for the future that it'll be like, boom, we all want to go out like 7 days a week and spend the money that we don't have, but we'll make it work.
Oh, hell yeah. I think people are going to go fucking nuts once it's over. They're just going to like flock to bars and flock to venues. Like, oh my God, we can leave.
Yeah, for sure.
For the Vera Bloom project, do you have official band members or do you just kind of like call whoever is available to play?
I thought that I did, but the answer is no, I don't.
Oh, oh shit.
Because, like life just happens. I was dating my drummer and I loved him as a drummer too. And then like we broke up, so I don't have the drummer anymore. And then it was like the guitar player is moving to Chattanooga, which is great. Good for him. And the bass player, he was just like the guitar player's friend who like was going to fill in. And then he just kind of like kept playing with me. But he has his own like music project that he's trying to do. So I'm just kind of trying to start over with the band. And I'm also really actively trying to find a female bassist and female drummer.
Oh yeah, that's hard to find because it took me forever to find Sherry. I found her kind of on accident actually, and it was like the greatest accident I've ever made. I'll never turn back.
Because I'm hoping to follow my release with like a tour, and I just like would love to make it a trio for like affordability. And also just if it could be two other fucking badass women that I could go on tour with, it would just be the best thing in the world. So I'm trying. And like I said earlier, it's like such a boys club out there. Like it'd be great to just be a fucking force and just being like, fuck you all. Like, we're women and we're doing it. And we sound amazing. You know?
Hell yeah, dude. I'm totally supportive of that. It is hard in Nashville, like There is a huge rock scene here, and it is very like connected, and there's kind of this little circle of rock bands, which is awesome. But it is hard to find like permanent band members for bands because a lot of musicians are like, they expect to be paid and stuff like they would if they were like playing a gig on Broadway. So it's hard to find band members that want to be like married to the band, you know, like want to just be a part of it as opposed to being in it for a second, you know? So that's definitely a hard thing in this city, I think, to find.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially if it's like, for me, I want band members, but I still don't want to, I'm not interested in like, I mean, you know, we can come up with parts and whatever, but I'm not interested in like co-writing, you know what I mean? So so to expect band members to like pledge allegiance, but not really like participate in the making of the music itself, it's just kind of, it's weird. I mean, I always try to pay my players, but sometimes I'm like, okay, sorry, here's $30. You know, like what else can I do?
If you like play at the Springwater or the End and you made like $20, it's like, okay, well, here's a beer. I
know. Like, it's just like, I guess I'll work a couple extra shifts this week so I can pay you guys for playing, you know. It's tough.
Yeah, and that sucks because being in a rock band, you want everyone to just be in it with you, you know, because it's rock and roll. Yeah. You're all playing those shitty gigs together and you're all, you know, you're in it together.
Yeah. I think it's doable, like, because also, you know, on my end, I'm the one paying for the studio time, paying for the mixing, mastering, you know, like, I'm not asking anybody to pay this. I don't know. I feel like there has to be some kind of, I don't really know what the right word is.
You just got to find the right people and they'll just like click right in, you know? Like with my band, it just fits so perfectly. It took forever to find these, like,
that's awesome.
All four of us, but it's amazing. Once you find it, you're like, okay, we're good. Here we go.
Did you have a lot of shows that got canceled? Or?
We had 2 upcoming shows, and then we had 1 potential show for May that's like definitely not happening, so they're all canceled, So that's kind of a bummer, but it's okay. We're making the best of it. Yeah, I'm trying to like write a lot, so we just have a bunch of new shit to like record and play. Once this is all over, if it ends.
I know. I did a live stream the other day, and it was cool, but like, I don't know, like, I didn't have...
I saw part of it. It seemed really good.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it sounded great.
Thank you. But like, I didn't do any of like my actual rock songs because to me, it just sounds so wrong.
Like without a band?
Yeah, like my one song that's, I guess, sort of like Bad Reputation, but it's called Bad Decisions. That's like one of my punk ones. Doing it by myself just feels so fucking stupid.
Have you ever heard of the band Bully?
Yeah.
Okay, so she did a live stream like last week, I think, and she just used her electric guitar like you did. And she played all her songs almost like the exact way she normally would. Oh. And it sounded kind of weird just because she didn't have any like distortion on the guitar. It was like a clean guitar. But other than that, it sounded really cool because it was just like she just sang like she would naturally sing on stage. It was pretty badass.
Yeah.
It was pretty
awesome.
You should try something like that. Like just try it and see if it feels weird. That's what she said.
Like I wanted to do it again, like immediately after I did it. And then a couple days after, which I guess was yesterday, I was kind of just like, well... I don't know.
It seems kind of scary to do a live stream because, like, I don't know.
It is.
And like a lot of pressure.
Yeah, like I messed up multiple times and I was like, this is stupid. Like, this looks bad.
But I guess it's, you know, just like being on stage. If you fuck up, you got to just ride it out and just pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah, I definitely didn't pretend. Well, that was the other thing. I was like, it's weird because it's like a super intimate experience.
Yeah. And it's weird because you can't feel anyone like around you, so it's hard to like perform. Like you can't tell that anyone's there.
I don't know. I'm like, this is not for me. That was always my complex with like doing solo singer-songwriter kind of stuff. Is I just like the energy of making a lot of noise with a bunch of people, it's like when I'm trying to play the music that was written for that by myself, I'm just like, I hate this. I hate music.
Yeah, it's hard. I can completely relate to that because it's really funny. A lot of the songs that I wrote, I can't play just by myself. Like, I'll just forget them. Like my band has to like remind me like, oh, it's this chord. Oh shit, thanks.
I'm
because
the same
I don't
way.
Yeah, and I don't play guitar on stage really except for like one or two songs. So I I can't just sit there and play guitar and like do a live stream. So it's good that you're able to do that cuz I can't really. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't be it would be weird.
It was really hard though. Well, that's the other thing is usually I just do lead and there's a rhythm guitarist or so it's like it's hard for me to only do rhythm. So lately I've been trying to learn how to kind of like compromise and do both. But I only gave myself like 5 days of practicing like how to do both and then was like did the live stream. So I think that kind of like screwed me up a little bit, but it definitely was like a good step in the right direction, kind of forcing me to like if I were to play in a trio format like Nirvana, then I have to like revisit my guitar parts and do rhythm and see how much of the lead I can do,
Yeah.
But that's definitely my goal that I think this quarantine and everything has like allowed me to revisit is just like trying to make Vera Bloom project a trio. I would really love that. I keep listening to Nirvana because, they're a trio and I was like, okay, they can do it, then I can fucking do it.
Oh, hell yeah. Trios are great.
Yeah. But my distortion pedal broke, so
oh no.
I'm like not trying to spend the money to get it fixed or get a new one, so I'm just like, well,
I have two that you could borrow if you wanted to. You could like come to my apartment. I could toss it down to you. I'll sanitize it first and just throw it off the balcony. We have two like really awesome ones.
I would love to talk gear with anybody too.
Oh, hell yeah, we can talk gear on this show too. We're all about all the things. You can pretty much just talk about whatever you want. What kind of amp do you have? What do you play through?
I play through a really warm Fender Hot Rod Deluxe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a tube amp. I really love the combination with that and my Telecaster. But pedal-wise, like, I think I just had, like, the standard orange Boss distortion pedal. But I think it was always faulty from the beginning. Like, I would have to stomp on it really hard.
Oh, shit.
And now I think it's totally busted. But then, I have an Ibanez Tube Screamer, and then, classic. And then, I use a delay pedal for some of my, like, softer stuff. And then my favorite thing that I like to turn on when I get to, like, make feedback and whatnot is the ram head. Instagram got me because they were like, this is what David Gilmour uses when you... and I'm like, I need it!
They listened to your conversations.
Yeah, no,
They marketed you.
Yeah. But I pretty much just use that one when I just want, like, to create a shit ton of feedback.
You know what's funny is no one in our band uses pedals at all. Sherry used to for a minute. Like, she used, like, some bass distortion pedals, and then we kind of just slowly, like, got rid of that because she found, like, a really cool bass tone without it. Like, I don't think she's used them for a while, and Shannon and I don't use them either. We just have a couple of PVs. We call them the Olsen twins.
That's awesome. That makes it easy. I guess I have so many different sounds in my songs. Like, I feel at this point, I don't think I could not use the pedals. Well, one thing I've been really liking about this Alanis Morissette cover band is trying to, like, match the tones and, like, whatever. So it's been really fun to, like, break out some pedals and stuff that I usually don't use.
Oh, yeah. That's fun to, like, experiment with that stuff.
Yeah. Like, I have a wah pedal for some reason. I think my dad gave it to me, and I'm like, I'm never going to use this with my music, but there are, parts on the... Like, we're learning Jagged Little Pill, and there are songs where it's like they're definitely using a wah. So I get to, like, use that and do all kinds of fun shit. Yeah. I feel like I haven't had nearly enough beer during this interview.
I know. I only had one. I don't think that's enough, especially for National Beer Day. We're like,
I know. Well, I have 5 more after this one here, so.
I've been trying to keep our fridge just completely stocked with beer at all times.
Nice.
It's been hard because then I just want to drink it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised more breweries aren't, like, well, I don't know if it's legal. Maybe, like, offering, like, keg delivery.
Yeah, I don't know about kegs. I know some breweries are delivering, like, cases. I think Jackalope was doing kegs, but I looked at it and it was like, I mean, I'm not going to get a keg, but I was just curious. Yeah. It was like $85 for a keg. And I was like,
but imagine how that would last you so many beers, though.
Yeah, it would. It's true.
It has been nice for the quarantine to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Not have to take my car because I can walk to the grocery store if I need to.
Oh, that's nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't have to deal with parking. That's like the biggest thing I hate about grocery stores or literally anywhere is parking in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, Nashville just in general for parking is kind of the worst.
Yeah,
like, it's just there's nowhere to park. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, and like you just have to like look so many ways. Like, am I going to hit anybody? You know, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's like stupid little things that add up like that. No, that's one thing I loved about living in the Northeast, like living in Boston and New York. It was just like I didn't have a car. You know, having a car was like at first was like, oh, now I can go places, but then you get back into the city and you're like, this is literally the worst thing ever. I just want to like abandon this stupid ass car. I have spent, I kid you not, like 2 solid hours looking for a parking spot.
I believe it. I believe that.
Awful. Yeah.
Cars are good for like going on road trips and getting you to gigs. That's all you need them for.
Amen to that. I know. That's my goal this summer. Well, aside from, music related stuff, is to like only use my 2 wheels between my bicycle and my motorcycle.
Hell yeah. That's good for the environment too. That's like, you're looking out for planet Earth with that.
I really am. I actually just signed up for composting.
Oh, cool.
I'm getting back to my like hippie, I don't know if I would call it hippie,
West
but like
Coast.
like West Coast, like be a part of the movement you want to be a part of, like compost, walk around, bicycle, like just because the city's not there yet doesn't mean you have to like give things up, you know, like you should be a part of what you want to see happen.
Right. I feel like Nashville as a whole does not recycle well enough. Like, that's something we should really work on as a city. I don't know why that's not really a thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Even in the motorcycling community, like, or like with Harley Davidson riders, a lot of them are just kind of like, there's like a culture around it. And here I am, like, I love my Harley. I love riding Harleys. Like I've owned other bikes that weren't Harleys, and they just like, I always just went back to my Harley Davidson. But I'm like a vegetarian.
Same.
I eat fish, so I'm like a
Same.
Yeah, so I'm like a pescatarian. I care about the environment. I care about animals. I care about all of this stuff that just goes. Like, I hate the, like, objectification of women, you know? It's just like, but I hate all of these things that are such a huge part of the motorcycling community, like, especially, like, very Harley-centric events and whatnot. And so for a while, I was just like, I'm not fucking including motorcycle riding in any of my music shit. Then I was like, you know what? Fuck that, because I want to be a new wave, you know, or like attach myself, because I've met other girls who are much like me and they're also really into riding motorcycles. And it's just like, I want to band with them and be part like of a new movement that just kind of goes against the grain.
That's like
and,
breaking
you know,
away
like,
from the stereotypes, you know? I'm all about that, you know? It's just because you hear about one thing doesn't mean it's all like that, you know? Not every motorcycle rider is a sexist, meat-eating, Trump-supporting kind of person, you know?
Yeah. And instead of just assuming that, which is something I like was kind of doing, I decided to embrace it and embrace what I am as a motorcycle rider and lover, and just like be really transparent about it, and you're going to find your community.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
absolutely. I think that's super. Because one thing I hate about being in a band is so many people want to call us like a punk band. And honestly, the only thing that's punk about us is me, like just me. Everyone else is like not punk. Like they all have like completely different backgrounds, and like we're not really a punk band. Like our songs really aren't. Like I don't know what we are, but we're not really punk. And like so many people just want so badly to put you in a box. Like, oh, you're this. Like you do this kind of thing, and it's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. Like you don't have to like over label everything, especially like in life, you know?
Yeah, it's just really hard for like when it comes to trying to make money, I guess, and because it's like marketing is the reason why we have to like put ourselves in these boxes, or people put us in these boxes. It's because it's like, okay, which money making box are you going to be in? You know, like totally agree with you, because one of my bigger influences with this album was like some punk music. Not a lot, but like a little bit. And I have one kind of punky song, but I think that's just like a subgenre of my sound. I think it's important to just be like, I am so many things. I guess if you had to put me in a box, my umbrella is rock.
I always just say we're a rock and roll band, because I don't know how else to describe it to you, because you're just going to have to see it. You just got to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I think it was Brandi Carlile or something that she said something so beautiful about rock and roll, not as a musical genre, but just kind of as like a feeling.
Sure.
And just like a pure, true expression of freedom. And I really connected with that, because that is something I have always felt when it comes to performing, is like this wanting to just like be completely free and just be a full emotional expression of my music, and like just not even my music, but like the being on stage part, the playing for people part, just everything. And I think if you can truly get into that kind of like mindless state in a way on stage, like that's as rock and roll as it
Hell
gets.
Yeah. That's completely right. Completely agree.
Yeah. But I just wish, like, I'm like terrible at like recalling references and like just anything like that. So if you can look it up, Brandi Carlile said some shit about rock and roll that really resonated with me.
That's how you interpreted, though. I like that. Like, that's what you took away from what she said.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
True. Yeah. That's probably, maybe better than quoting the thing, even though it was a really great quote. Said. I feel like you would probably really resonate with that too, just because like I was really inspired. I've only seen you perform once, but you were totally like one of those people where I was like, you lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, oh, I want to do that too, Yeah.
That's what I like try to do. That's kind of, just because most people see me as this, like, if you know me at all, I'm just like a very quiet, very like low key kind of person. And I get up on stage and I'm just the complete polar opposite of that. But it's like another side of myself that nobody's met yet. You have to go to a show to meet her.
Totally. I love that though. That's just part of it too, is like, musicians, a lot of us, we are, I don't know, like we have just so many sides or faces or hats or whatever you want to call it, like we're not just such a product to sell or whatever, because we are as much of a musician as the normal person we are, but we're also, I don't know, like it's all intertwined, but it can also just be so separate. Like, I don't know, it's back into like putting ourselves into boxes again. Like it's really impossible, kind of. Like you said, you're quiet normally, but then you go on stage and you're like this crazy, rambunctious, like power, awesome force. And then, but it's like you're that on stage, but then when we go back to our normal selves, that's where we have to make all of our like musical decisions and like, communicate with people and like all this stuff. And for me, it's really hard to even feel like I'm making the right decisions for my music career, because I'm not going to say I'm a different person when I'm on stage, but I just feel like a different person sometimes when I'm on stage,
It's kind of like performing is kind of out of body sometimes, because you're just like, you're in an abnormal situation, a room full of people are staring at you, waiting for you to do something awesome. Like that's not a normal thing. So you almost have to be different.
Yeah, for sure. I just wish that I could like keep that feeling with me whenever I had to be like the musician in all aspects of my life. You know what I mean? Like
it is hard.
It's hard.
Well, that was fun. Thank you so much for being a guest. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for asking me.